Well,
we're only 12 years after the debacle of 2000, when a bunch of networks called it wrong, and then called it wrong again, and then everybody had to go back and lick their wounds and settle in for a couple of months of uncertainty. So there is caution in the news business not to call these things wrong, but there's incredible pressure.
Okay, we are not calling Barack Obama the winner of the
No, we're not. Absolutely not.
We need more than what we've heard so far, but it would be a very strange set of circumstances presented before us now that would make us change that.
I think that's
a fair
right.
assessment?
I think that's the
I know
rational...
that's going around the houses
no,
to get at
look,
it.
I think that's the smart, rational way to look at it, right? You know, the probability at this moment is highly on the side of Obama winning. Does that mean that Romney has no path? No, it doesn't mean that. But it means that his path is very narrow.
And clearly, if you look at conservative commentators and the like on Twitter and elsewhere, they're clearly dispirited, extremely pessimistic, while liberals are trying to constrain themselves and not burst out into premature celebration, but they're not being very successful. There's clearly the sense that it's heading very clearly in the direction of the Democrats.
Hang on just a second, because I'm going to go to Alan Fisher, who's in Boston and has been liaising with the Romney campaign. Alan, let me ask you a little bit of housekeeping here, a little bit of mechanics of the night. It is an if, we've just been going through that, but if Mitt Romney is not to be the next president of the United States, is there a protocol that you know of that will be followed, a timetable, or is it never discussed?
Well, what Mitt Romney has to do, of course, is get the number for the president's campaign. He will then have to call Barack Obama in Chicago and concede the election. Remember back in 2000, Al Gore conceded to George W. Bush when it looked as if Florida was going to Bush. And then when it went back to too close to call, Al Gore called up again and said, remember that concession I gave you? Well, I'm withdrawing it now. So I think he'll want to be absolutely certain before he makes the call. But if Barack Obama was losing, he would make the call to Governor Romney, and Romney would then become the president-elect. So it looks as if it will be down to Mitt Romney to make that call. I'm sure he's going to wait until it's absolutely closed off the route to 270 before he makes his concession. But he's at the Westin Hotel, which is just right next door to the convention centre here. He could almost walk over, but I'm sure the Secret Service will bring him into the building and then bring him up onto the stage behind me, where he'll speak to the probably a couple of hundred people that are here in the hall and the millions watching across the United States. So that would be the protocol, David. It would be down to the governor and his campaign to make the decision that essentially the election was lost. He would have to call the president and make that concession speech. No one from the Democrats can phone him up and say, have you made a decision yet?
It is called